Okay, so today we will be looking at the first unit that is gonna be a featured banner after global release, right? So this unit is coming out on the 28th. So in about a few days from you watching this, most likely it might have already come out, right? So yeah, I am in the Korean server. I already have this unit from quite a while ago, and we will be looking first of all into her skills, where she might be good at, and in the end testing her out to see if we are able to build any sort of useful teams where she might be useful for and all of that, right? So first of all, we're gonna be looking at her skills. I know some of you might have already seen the video with all of the new Korean units and already know her skills, but in case you don't, I'm still gonna go over through all of them just really quickly, right? Just so we know what the unit actually does. And yeah, for her awaken skill, she basically drops a lot of single target damage hits, and with each hit, she will apply a debuff, level 1 debuff of, let me see the exact name, what it's called, and that is block chance. You know what? Let's look at like this. This will give us a way. It's called bombardment order, I guess, in the Korean translation. But yeah, it increases the target's damage per stack and reduces the block chance. So basically, the more stacks of this you have, the more damage you will be doing, right? Then for her Blossom ability, this one is an AoE and it will hit multiple enemies at once. It has a little bit of a lower total multiplier, but each stack of this debuff will increase the damage that you do with your ultimate. So as you can see, ultimate damage resistance reduction, currently 70%. At level 4 it goes to 80%, which means that after this ability is hit, any unit on your team will be doing increased ultimate damage based on the amount of these you have, right? And for each time you do hit an ultimate, one stack will be removed, right? Next up, active skills 1 and 2, nothing really special as always. We're mostly focused on ultimates, passives, and exclusive abilities. So for this one, to the furthest enemy from you, you will do damage, and given a recovery debuff, right? So basically, lower recovery. Her other active skill is basically to yourself and the ally with the highest attack power. You will increase everyone's attack, not everyone's, but your and the allies' attack power, as well as give them a shield if the target is of computational core, right? Now, her passive is very important because in some cases, this will be what makes the champion super OP, or in other cases, and actually unfortunately in majority of cases, what will make the champion way weaker than it currently is. So if we translate the passive to all allies at the start of the battle, you will gain energy points, right? So basically you'll get 80 in any random battle, and you will get 230 if you are fighting in the regular story mode dungeon, right? But in the third line, you can see that critical hits do not occur. So this means that if she is in a fight, no one in your team can do critical hits, right? Not a single unit, doesn't matter what element they are, anything like that. If they are on your team, there will be no critical hits happening, right? But just to make it a little better, for all green element units, for all basically calculation element units, your ultimate damage will be increased by a lot. And some of you may already see where this passive would be really good at, and that is with Sia. That is the current another banner that is happening in global, right? So she will be a very good pairing with Sia because both of them are green element. Sia's ultimate does not allow her to crit, so this is, she's not losing anything from that anti-critical stuff, but she is just flat out gaining pretty much triple her damage, right? And for her exclusive skill, this one is very simple. If there is any kill on an enemy, she will do just a burst of damage around them, right? Currently 310% at level 1, and if we looked at level 4, it's gonna be at 390%, right? And I know there's been some confusion, so just to clear any doubts, right, I will showcase that the critical damage passive does apply to your units rather than to the enemies not being able to crit you, right? So what we have here is particularly we are looking at Yuna, right? She currently has a very high crit rate because first of all, she has passives. She is in the middle row, which allows her to basically critically hit a bit more. And I believe one of the buffs here allow you to do critical hits even better, right? So let me just see. Yeah, critical hit chance for warriors or knights or whatever you want to call them. We're gonna go in here, and for this one, we're gonna remove FREYA, and you will see that Yuna will be doing a massive amount of critical hits. Okay, and there we go. You can see some critical hits happening from Yuna. Basically, those little triangles with orange to red gradient numbers are critical hits, and Yuna is doing a lot of them, right? Now, we're gonna swap in FREYA in our team, and you will see that unfortunately, Yuna will not be able to do any critical hits after that, right? Again, there we go. Yuna is in the team. I'm hoping she survives at least for one ultimate, but as you can see, the critical hits do occur on your team, right? My backline has received uncritical damage, but when you're doing it yourself, unfortunately, there will be no critical hits, right? My Yuna already died, but you saw that her passive does have a lot of critical chance. I also have ID shooting in the background. I have FREYA shooting here. And none of them are doing any critical damage, right? So yes, unfortunately, once you have FREYA in your team, her passive does not allow critical damage to happen, right? Okay, and we're gonna go test her more in just a second, right? But basically, if you do decide to summon FREYA, this specific unit right here, is the unit that you will want to pair with her, right? If we look at her ultimate ability, you'll notice that, well, it does good damage. At the very last sentence, it does say this skill does not hit a critical hit, right? So while it does debuff a lot of the teams, it does work really well with Sia because her damage is already adjusted, sort of balanced around not being able to crit, and FREYA being able to boost the damage of non-critical hits by a couple 100% is gonna make Sia an absolute beast, right? Okay, so first I'm gonna test her Awaken skill, right? We're gonna test it in Guild Boss just to see if she is able to boost a little bit of damage, right? But yeah, what we're gonna do in here is currently for her medals, right? I build her on full ultimate critical damage, right? So her medal 2 and medal 3 are, well, actually no, second medal only has 2 ultimate damage, third one has 3 19% ultimate damages, right? So just a filler set because I don't really use her often myself, right? And for the Awaken skills, we are running with the Awaken variant because for bosses, you are ideally looking for more of that multi-hit damage block removal rather than the ultimate, right? Because with the ultimate, a lot of the skills from other units will be able to break through that debuff quite easily, right? Whereas the single target debuff will stay for quite a while and will benefit them a bit more. I also added Taliafe here, which is basically the second unit in my team. This is a green type unit and it is a very damage oriented on a single target unit. So we're gonna see how much damage it increases on the boss, right? Unfortunately, as you can see, the total damage isn't high, right? Usually my team is able to beat around 50 to 52 of his HP bars, only beat 46 this time. And let me tell you, that inability to crit is really dragging the team down, right? I feel like, I don't know, if you are able to build a team that has does not rely on critical hits at all or something like that, right? Then maybe you can think about using him. I'm gonna use him Blossom skill as well just to showcase, right? But yeah, overall, you're really gonna struggle with using her in any team apart from Sia, right? Because then again, like for example, even in Taliafe's case, right, in this team, her passive gives her critical hit based on how many green units are on the team, right? And a lot of the new units that will be released, especially the green element units, they will benefit a lot from criticals, right? So Taliafe is based on critical hits. There is the Canada that is gonna be released in probably a few months that is also based on critical hits. And a lot of your units will be missing out on it, unfortunately, right? especially looking into the future. So if you're someone who's summoning, maybe I can quit this so I don't use up the entry, right? But yeah, if you're looking to summon Freya, right, you should be summoning Freya with one thing in mind, and that is to buff up your current Sia damage, right? If you do not have a Sia, honestly, I wouldn't summon this at all. And if you don't plan on using or building Sia, you really shouldn't look into summoning Freya more than like a copy just to have her, right? But yeah, if you're looking for someone who will buff up Sia's damage and can build a team specifically around that, right, then you should be pretty good. Now, unfortunately, my Freya is a little bit on the weaker side when it comes to story mode, because as you can see, like at the power difference, I am gonna be lacking quite a bit when it comes to this team, right? But what I've done is I have grabbed a what do you call it? A Sia of one of my friends, right? It is currently a level 283, so it will by far be a better Sia than I have, right? And what we're gonna be testing is not whether we can beat the stage or not, right? But we're just purely gonna be looking at Sia's damage just to see how much it improves based on using her by herself. And later on, we'll see how much it improves after using it together with Freya. So we're gonna be using the regular Awaken skills. I don't care about the deaths. I'm not trying to beat the stage. I'm mostly just trying to test out how Sia looks like in a fight, right? And we're gonna be paying attention to the damage deals. We're gonna be paying attention to the overall time it takes to beat the stage, if she's even be able to beat the stage, right? And yeah, we can see that, where is Freya? She is going to the back line, she's dealing 300k there. The damage, really nothing special. She's herself receiving a lot of critical hits, but yeah, I can see their basic attacks doing a solid, like, that was a 300k, right? Ultimate is gonna do 200, what that, was that 240k or was that 1,200,000? I think it was 240k, right? Yeah, very scuff test, but we do what we do, right? I don't have every single unit built in this game still, so we have to rely on this. Now we're gonna replace one of my units with Freya, same element amounts, right? Basically a full bonus from here, just like with the previous team, and we're gonna see how well Sia performs in this case, right? Because then again, keep in mind that the ultimate damage is being boosted by 170%, which technically should be a very big boost. However, it does depend on whether they are multiplying that boost or whether this is like an additive bonus, because there's some medals that give you like 20, 40, 60% ultimate bonus, right? And if that is just an additive 170, it's not gonna be anything special, right? Okay, let's see her ultimate. Yeah, that was a 3 million crit. That was a 3 million, and that was let's just wait for the damage number. I fucked on. What can I say? Okay, on this one we did 240% damage. Now it did 4 million. So yeah, the damage increased quite a bit. Quite a bit. I do believe it might have been 1.2 million last time, right? But yeah, as you can see, if you use Freya with Sia, you are gonna get the best combo probably in the game, honestly, right? The damage buff they give from the Freya's passive is absolutely massive. But apart from that, unfortunately, I don't think she will be too great of a unit, right? Because let me showcase some of the green units that will be coming out in the future, right? Because again, to boost the ultimate damage, you really want to be using her with a green team, right? And for some of the future units, so we have Sarah Pulsar, a complete meme unit. I'm not even sure why it exists, right? But let me tell you this, you're not gonna benefit much from her, right? This one is a tank, and then we have the two main rangers that will be releasing. So both of them are pretty good, right? However, if we look at their skills, you will notice that I believe it's this one, or maybe it's the, no, I think it's this one, right? So one of the plugin passives, as you can see on the very first row, critical hit chance increases by 0.4. So this unit is very based on critical rates. If we look at Tagliafe, again, if we look at her, I believe, exclusive skill at the very first line as well, Based on how many green type allies you have, your critical rate increases by 5%, 21%, or up to 35%, right? And when you have Freya on your team, none of these bonuses will be applying, which means that their damage, especially the ranger damage, will be dropping significantly, right? So in the end, right, Freya, if you want to summon her, and to answer whether you do want to summon her, you want her if you have a Seer, if you have a well-built Seer, not like mine, which is not even able to survive for like 5 seconds. If you have a very well-built Seer, which in a lot of cases you might because she has been the longest running banner so far, you really do want to get at least a copy or two of Freya, right? The cool thing about that is if you are primarily using her with Seer, you really only need to skill up her passive, right? None of the other skills will do too much impact. Obviously, active skills are never too impactful in this game. The ultimate is pretty cool, but even then, as long as you have the passive leveled up as far as you can, right, to buff up the CS damage, that will be more than enough, right? So yeah, overall, if you are using Sia actively, I would definitely recommend summoning at least 1 or 2 copies of her. If you are not using Sia, unfortunately, even with all of the buffs for story mode and stuff like that, I wouldn't recommend summoning her too much, right? I mean, in general, I always recommend summoning at least 1 copy just so you have them, right? But when it comes to dupes, yeah, if you have Sia again, go for it. If you don't have Sia, you won't find too much use for this unit, right? So yeah, that's the overall impressions I had. Again, I have used Freya quite a bit early on. She was pretty decent, but I really... a lot of the units that came after that definitely overshadowed her by quite a lot. So again, my experience is limited. Feel free to test around yourself when she drops. And yeah, that's about it. And peace.